There is in this world much drama and intrigue. Then there is the world of private enterprise, the mum and dad corner store, the world of fruit and veg. It is suburban Australia, 1953. Come with me now and discover what really goes on behind the counter in Pineapples and Potatoes. Open till 5. A short but continuing saga. Humphrey Horstman is a less than prepossessing individual of 65 summers and the same amount of miserable winters. He stands well below average, and even then is not always visible. He's now standing at the kitchen sink, a rather feminine apron protecting his very sensible white shirt, tie, and grey flannel trousers. His is a quiet demeanour that is now awakened from his suds-filled reverie by the foghorn that is his wife, Gladys. Gladys is no taller than Humphrey, but almost as wide, her imposing bulk topped off by a head of blonde, excessively permed and curled hair protected by a satin scarf. There is something about her that makes it very clear that this woman does not take prisoners.
And make sure it's all done before you come down into the shop. I don't want to have to come back and do it all again, like I usually do.
Of course, dear.
Humphrey smiles to himself resignedly. He lets the water out of the sink, wipes it with a cloth, and carefully, after wringing it almost dry, folds it and places it ever so neatly on the draining board. He wipes his hands on the souvenir coronation tea towel hanging on the rail in front of the sink. He smiles again, recalling the excitement of last week with the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. The whole of Australia was in celebratory mood, and with the war now fading into history, a bright future lies ahead. Humphrey indulged in another smile to himself and headed down the stairs into the shop. Gladys was topping up the fruit boxes out front. She didn't acknowledge the wave from the newsagent over the road, nor the cheery good morning from the passing couple walking their dog. Humphrey steps onto the footpath with a large box of veg.
I don't suppose you remembered to buy some chops for tea?
Yes, I did.
What did you say?
I said yes, dear.
Realizing she has been ever so subtly bested, Gladys exits into the shop haughtily. Humphrey smiles, and seeing the newsagent across the street, gives him a friendly wave. (1953) Australia. A new day as life goes on at the greengrocer's, much as every other day. Gladys is unloading rhubarb from an aged wooden trolley, whilst keeping an eye on a group of youngsters loitering around the apples. Suddenly one of them steals an apple and bolts. In the corner of her eye, Gladys witnesses the scene.
Why, you little...
She grabs a fist-sized potato and hurls it at the young criminal's head. It connects. Startled, the offender stops and turns to face his assailant. Gladys stands, hands on hips, a satisfied, satanic smile spreading across her face. The young criminals wisely opt for retreat. Humphrey steps into the street with a box of pineapples.
About time. Get those pines onto the rack.
Humphrey nods, smiles, and dutifully arranges pineapples.
Good morning, Mr. Hortsman.
The cheery greeting comes from a very attractive young woman pushing a pram with a small child.
Oh, very good morning, Joy. And how is your beautiful daughter today?
Well, she was a little grumpy earlier, but she's fine now we are out and about.
Oh, that's good.
He takes a rose from a bunch and hands it to her.
Here, enjoy. The bouquet is beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Horseman. That's lovely.
Ominously, a shadow falls onto the scene.
That will be 1 and 6pence.
Oh, well,
But Gladys, it was a gift.
We are not a charity. Everything has to be paid for.
that's all right. I don't mind paying.
It was a gift.
It's all right, Mr. Horseman, really.
A quietly seething Humphrey reluctantly accepts Joy's money as Gladys walks back inside. That satanic smile returns. Humphrey finally manages a gentle smile to Joy, but after she departs, his eyebrows descend, and a strange new look crosses his eyes. It's a quiet moment of respite for Humphrey. Alone in the kitchen, he has made a cup of tea and sits at the kitchen table reading the Woman's Own magazine, and longingly absorbs the images of happy families frolicking on the golden sands of Surfer's Paradise. His eyes close as he feels the warmth of the sun on his body and the cool fruit cocktail in his hand. His reverie is shattered with the loud thump of a bag of potatoes on the kitchen floor.
There. That lot has to be sorted by morning.
There is a silence.
Did you hear me? What are you doing? Where's dinner?
Dinner's almost ready. I was having a few moments to myself.
Daydreaming again. Huh. What are you reading? Well, that's a waste of time. You'll never get to Surfer's Paradise.
Humphrey gently closes his magazine, puts it on the cupboard shelf, and turns to the stove and the vegetables gently boiling away. Stay tuned for the concluding episode of Pineapples and Potatoes. Open till 5, here on ABC Coast FM. Stay tuned for the concluding episode of Pineapples and Potatoes. Open till 5, here on ABC Coast FM. The war recedes to a memory, its deficiencies replaced by a new wave of enthusiasm, and multitudes of small children fill the streets. Humphrey emerges onto the footpath. The postman stops his bicycle, rummaging in his bag.
Good morning. Do you have anything for us?
Oh, Mr. Horseman. Yes, I think I do. Here you are. On your own today?
Ah, yes. I will be. My wife is having a break. Going to visit her aunt for a few days.
That will be nice. See you later.
Humphrey smiles to himself.
Yes. Yes.
After a long day filled with onions, potatoes, carrots, and assorted fruit, Humphrey packs up the stock in the front of the shop. Soon after, Gladys pauses at the front door, projecting a final comment inside, and heads off to the bus stop just down the street. She's dressed in a light winter coat and carries an old yellow carry bag and a small brown suitcase. The dimly lit shop interior is only brightened by the sun, streaming through the quarter-pane windows, highlighting Humphrey, busy counting out the change for the day. The tinkling of the doorbell alerts him in time to see two men, ill-dressed in crumpled dark blue suits.
Mr. Horseman? Can we have a word?
Of course. And you are?
We're police officers, Mr. Horseman.
Is something wrong?
Do you know where your wife is, Mr. Horseman?
She left yesterday. Took the train to her aunt's in Adelaide.
Have you spoken to her today?
No, I haven't. Oh, she'll probably ring me later.
I'm sorry to have to tell you, Mr. Horseman, but a woman matching a description of your wife has been found fatally beaten. We'd like you to formally identify her.
Humphrey half falls, but supports himself by his elbow on the counter.
Oh, my God. Where was she found?
On the outskirts of town. I'm sorry, Mr. Horseman. I know how you must feel. We'll get the identification process over as easy as possible.
Humphrey takes his shop apron off and closes the till.
I'll just lock up.
There is no sunlight in the news agency. It's another grey, drizzly day. A police detective shivers outside, sheltering under a minuscule excuse for an awning. His companion is at the counter inside, slightly warmer, talking with the owner.
So when was the last time you saw Mrs. Horseman?
I saw her just about every day. We often opened and closed about the same time. She and Humphrey worked together day before yesterday, and I only saw her yesterday morning. She caught the bus from the stop near the shop. She often did that.
You definitely saw her yesterday?
Oh, for sure. I've seen that woman just about every day for the past 12 years. She probably didn't take as much notice of me. She's not the friendly sort.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Andrews. It is a mystery. We have a time of death at least 2 days before she was last seen.
The streetlights come on as Humphrey closes the door of the greengrocer's, and with an uncharacteristic spring in his step, steps off down the street. Under the bright golden beam of a single streetlight, he pauses and drops an old yellow carry bag into the rubbish bin. He smiles as he pushes the bag and the curly blonde wig deeper into the anonymity of the bin. He's wearing a red and white Hawaiian print shirt, white slacks, and a Panama hat. This radio drama was written and produced by Errol R J Morrison, from an original idea by Roger Wood, engineered by Bruce Hamilton, and voiced by many talented friends, here on ABC Coast FM.